All right, YouTube's actually working this time. Welcome back for another week with Matthew Tuttle and myself on the watch list. Would like to thank Howard Greenberg for making an appearance and kind of filling in for, but not quite filling the shoes. Oh, he filled the shoes nicely. You were golfing.
Yeah.
Did a pretty good job. We both came up with some really good call outs last week from Thursday. They followed through. Proud to say that SMR, I mean, nailed that measured move price target to the damn penny. I mean, how many analysts do you know that can hit a penny size target, guys? We're good.
Only one,
We're good.
and he's here.
We get good at this after a while, and there's a reason why we're still making a living trading. That's it right there. Our accuracy rating on our analysis is dead on. Our call outs are pretty awesome. And the trades we make out of those, I mean, we can't trade every setup we see or call out, but we damn well try.
Yep.
So stuff we're bringing you, a lot of it is what we're trading, and we're doing pretty good with it. So stick around, tell your friends, like and subscribe. You know that whole thing. Hit the bell, get some notifications. I'm gonna try and do some more expanding into other markets and get us a little bit more of a following. But we would really appreciate your help. Go tell your friends that we have and hold 94% accuracy rating overall. Currently, with those last couple of weeks, we've been doing even better. It's averaging 94.24% currently, which is pretty awesome. I got to say that's going to wear my elbow out, pat myself on the back. Doing good with that. So we have a few things we're watching, a few new things. I'm kind of set from last week's list has been kicking butt today, and I'm still rolling with it. So I'm going to review some of the stuff from last week and kind of come up with some other call outs on where I expect them to go next. But in the meantime, I think we're going to dig right into the new stuff, and that's kind of why you guys are here. So we're going to go with that. Let me get my one position grid out, and we'll make a quick stop with QQQ, and then we can kind of go from there. Zoom in. Let's go. All right, so 2-hour chart. I've got a little extra dope on it this time. Didn't quite approach this liquidity zone, but we knew this key pivot was here right at 491.80 around, which is about the mean of this previous consolidation on QQQ. We wicked through it, hit all the way to the extended range of that accumulation for candle closes on the 2-hour, and then bounced. We found liquidity here. We were waiting for it. We were ready for it. This morning in today's live session with Bullishbrs, we were able to scalp that return and scalp a lot of the bearish moves on the way down too. That was quite the sell-off. What do we expect now? Probably going to range between these two pivots. We might have a chance at making a half back on this big old candle from the 2-hour. Maybe get a midday swing back to like 494.50 to 495 on Q is possible, but we got to deal with this 493.50 pivot one more time, I think, and that's kind of the upper edge of this previous accumulation range. So expect some volatility there, maybe some profit taking from this bounce off the floor here. Kind of, we don't like to diddle in the middle, but we like to trade from and to the middle. Halfbacks are pretty common, and measured moves are even more common. We threatened a 2-for-1 off the open this morning, and then it rejected cleanly just before it hit that 498.70 area, previous liquidity zone. And we got the 1-for-1 off the pre-market measured move, and then just kerfuffled right down through everything known on that sell-off this morning and did great with it. We were able to plot every block on the way down and hit every branch on the way down without getting ugly, so to speak. Now we're making the round back. Going into next week, it's going to be probably more of the same chop for a little while. We're not quite going to get a half a measured move until we can break that $500 50 target. Once we break that, I don't know if you've seen me draw it before, but there's the primary pretty plain as day. Split the mean. That's a half a move right there. Whole move is approaching like the 512, 513 area. I think we're going to hold off on that and accumulate first, but who knows? We could see it, rip even higher. After all, we've got some volatility in this range. We can see that we've essentially approached the all-time highs pretty close, but we've come to that famous 86.6 fib level that seems to reject a couple times. So be aware that we could see further sell-offs if we reject that one more time. So that can be giving us a half back all the way down to like the 475, 478 area on QQQ. So be nimble in this market. It's going to be stuff like this becoming more common, which is great for options day traders, 0-day traders, and option sellers such as myself. We love this stuff. Sell the edges, baby. Let's tear into a couple from your list there. Let me get that open real quick, and then I also pay attention to the YouTube comments. So if there's anything you guys want to throw at us to look at real quick, you're not interrupting. Throw it at us. We love a challenge, and we love looking at charts. So it's kind of why we're here. Anything you want, we're here for you. Let's just say that we're not gonna pull a Kramer and just say buy, sell, and punch on a soundboard. No, we're gonna give you actual analysis. We'll walk you through it. We'll even teach you how to do it. So stick around. That's why we're here. Let me get into Matthew's list. He's got a few we're looking at. I'll start, I guess, with VST. Vista Corporation.
So yeah, VST is one of my favorite kind of AI infrastructure names. Had an amazing move up, and I've been looking for a spot to get in and grab some more. So used today, had undercut and rally yesterday at the 10-day. Used today's weakness to add to my position here. I mean, it still might be extended, but to me, this is going to be one of the big winners from the whole AI infrastructure play.
Kind of got that nice little roundy look to it. Kind of pulled up into a measured move, gave half back, and we're sitting right on that that 2-hour 50 period today. So I kind of like it accumulating in here. Technical wise, I think we could see it follow through with another swing. So we're thinking, where's your entry target?
I mean, I'm trying to hope it holds the 10-day, which is 128.89. I think that's kind of around where I entered this trade. Yeah, I'm down 1.76%. So I entered somewhere close to that. Expect it to eventually push out and reach new highs.
Yeah, short term, I think we could go and say it's safe that it's tested the halfback theory here in this move. So right about here is where we'd expect support. So outwardly, if we accumulate and hold this area, we could see a push back up to that high. I'm going to draw 2 key liquidity zones if you don't mind. That is a nice rounding though. It's got that cup and handle look, and this is about where we'd expect that structure for the cup and handle in this case. And then we've got liquidity from this previous high. Kind of like shrinking down in my chair. I don't know if I'm sliding off the camera view or not. I'll look later. Nice good ranges here. Worst case scenario, we revisit this bad boy here. Right now we're in that key reversion. Right in the middle. That's a good spot to look. We can see it extend into this range and give us a couple good trades. Worst case scenario, we get some options in the mix. Let me see what the weekly chart looks like on this thing. That thing's parabolic.
Yeah. I mean, all the AI infrastructure names have done really well, and this is one of the key ones.
So we could see probably a long-term flag here, and then maybe a follow-through with just a rip-roaring rally up into the 150s. I like the setup. It's going to be a little more time to unwind and get this this consolidation done, I think. But right now, it's got some good range.
Yeah. No, I bought. I went out.
How's the options chain on it?
I bought January.
Okay. I was thinking maybe that might be worth selling some premium on or running some spreads.
Good.
I'll have to look into that one. I like the setup. This is good. I mean, we got a pretty good basically rally, consolidate, and rally. So if we follow through with a full measure move, we go right to the 150s pretty easy. That's about a half move up if you consider this as your primary. I'll keep this on the radar. And then we talked about another one, Southern, another nuclear name. And
So
we've
Southern's a utility, but it seems like these are the guys or one of the guys who are kind of executing the best in nuclear. And I bought I bought more of that the other day. It's breaking out nice today.
it's
Yeah, and
looking
that's probably the Google news. So Google
right.
was, I guess, the third, right? We had Microsoft, Amazon. Yeah, Google was the third to come out and announce they were looking at nuclear for, fueling their AI. And so that's got a lot of the nuclear stocks popping today.
Straighten my monitor up. I think I bumped it. There we go. I like the setup on this one. Really, it's really nice. It's a bit parabolic here, but that breakout is pretty eminent. I mean, the measured move is done in the secondary. We're looking for a twofer. And let me place a couple of targets here. We got one right in the halfway mark, about 102. And I think that Google News tends to really help this situation out, along with a couple others like OKLO we'll talk about in a minute. But ultimately, we've got two pretty easy targets to pick out of this one. So about 113 and some change here on the upper end for a full twofer. But for now, we're looking for like 102 on this breakout here. Currently at about 90, almost 92 bucks into that move. Setup looks good to me on the monthly, weekly, and even the daily. Looks really good. Let this give us a reasonable consolidation. I almost like to see it do exactly this, where it breaks that resistance line, test it for support, and then bounces again. In this case, it gave back the entire range of the consolidation here and bounced right off that 50-day moving average. And then we came back above the resistance point here at about, what is that, about 90 and a half. Let's see it test and then continue to move on. I think I like this one long. It has got some strength to it all of a sudden too. You see like kind of choppy range, and then all of a sudden you see these nice big smooth candles. So follow through looks pretty good on this thing. From a technical standpoint, pretty easy targets, pretty easy trades. That's a good one to look at. And another one of your favorites, we're looking at OKLO. Let's just do it.
Yep.
We were watching this thing this morning for a pullback, and it came back a little further than we thought it would, but then we just bounced and went A to B in the liquidity zone we've been watching. We've been watching this one for better part of 2 months now, haven't we?
Yeah, oh, yeah. I mean, this one has been great. I mean, it's the nuclear play.
Looking good.
Yeah, my options are a double.
We're above that liquidity zone. I got long on it this morning. I took that pullback as a gift and went with it. Ultimately, this thing is looking for. It's already above the half a measured move here. It's playing with some volatility. We see this thing swing above about 1120. I think we got a really good shot at hitting 1280 on this thing. I put my purple line there as my key price target, and I think we are very likely to hit that very soon and maybe even go beyond. The weekly chart gives us kind of, we've broken above the reversion target here at about 10.05 there. You can see that. It's basically striping that range, and follow through is pretty imminent on this thing. If we start looking at extension targets, we can stick a few on here. Just basically grab the weekly candle closes and draw a line. I'm going to go with this one rather than the big red one there. So we could see extensions up to like 1375 and 1485 respectfully after this if we get a twofer that kind of lines up with that line anyway. So yeah, this thing's been going to be a killer trade from here on, and it has been killer for the entire time we've been watching. We've been calling every step of the way on this thing and killing the price targets on this thing like nothing. It's like fish in a barrel at this point. This is a good name. Definitely pay attention to this one, guys. It's going to make some moves, and we like it. We like it a lot.
Yeah. Undercut and rally today at the 200 day. I mean, there's some resistance, but nothing major. And yeah, I like it still.
Plenty of room to run. And, you know, there's been a few other swing trading groups out there that I kind of keep my finger monitoring on that are also looking at it. And it's just got everything a swing trader could ask for in a chart. So, I mean, we're looking at.
And it's going up as we speak.
I know. It's about to smoke that 1120 resistance area. And I think, like I said, once it gets above that, dude, we're home. We're home. We're running. This thing might even halt while we're talking here. It's got that kind of look. We traded fun this morning, PHUN, and it halted and surprised the hell out of me. And it wouldn't surprise me at all to see this thing halt, like right as we break that 1120 mark. It would be very fun to watch. We'll come back to this before we sign off today.
Yeah. Now I told you this. I bought puts. I would never short, not this name, but
No.
I bought puts on DJT.
Yes, that game of whack-a-mole with those, that and PHUN. I mean, it's just been pretty
Well, PHUN is a sympathy,
right.
but it's less kind of Trump related. And yeah, I mean that's a weird one. I mean, this is total Trump related, and him leading in the polls, but 12 to 32 in a couple of weeks is a little bit crazy.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
And and it failed at the 200 day. So we'll see. I'd never outright short this because I mean I remember when this was in the hundreds and it gamma squeezes, it gets up there again. And all
Oh,
I
yeah.
do, right, I lost my premium, big deal.
Right.
Live for another day. But if you're short this thing, you could get your head handed to you.
Yeah, I would never short that would be a level of psychosis that I don't dare play with. But options, yeah, your risk is defined, baby. Go for it. Whack-a-mole it is until this market structure breaks. I mean, we're still looking at about $10.50 for the key resistance and it's about the mean of this range here. But overall market structure is pretty much all the same, no matter what you're looking at, no matter how volatile it is. But look at this. That is psychosis. This is reasonable. Can it hit $70 for a mean reversion target in this part of the trend, ignoring this? And please remember, there's been, a reverse split right here, 1 for 50, and there's probably a few more to the left, I'm sure. So don't forget those. Those have an effect on that outlying price target. So within reason, it was pretty easy to scalp this thing this morning. We got a twofer and then it blasted out after a halt. We nailed these two targets really easy. That was easy day trading. Those are easy. This says short me, okay? And surely people followed through with shorting it, and it gave all the way back to half a measured move back and closed a couple bars and consolidated. It can very well consolidate here in this range and hold between 650 and $7 and then maybe give us another explosive move. So I wouldn't short this for longer than a few minutes. That's just the way I would trade this thing. But options, yeah, you can trade calls and puts on this thing all day long. Same with DJT. I mean, DJT is the leader or the alpha in this thing. This thing's a sympathy play. Trade the price action as you see it. And when you start recognizing how candles work, it becomes pretty simple. You can see that this has been kind of like our OKLO chart. I mean, you can see the impulse moves on this thing and plot out those measured moves one at a time and scalp all of them, or you can get the meat and potatoes move where you get the whole primary and the whole secondary. It's all doable. It's all just price action, baby. Looking at this thing on a long term here, right at the 200 days where it stopped and rejected. So obviously people are going to look for puts in that area and try to get that half back target, maybe even back to $25 as possible. And if you were to take the high to low on the previous trend here, kind of puts the reversion target right at that 200 anyway. So that's a good place to look for a quick rejection for, some accumulation. Maybe it'll accumulate in this range and eventually come back to these highs, but don't FOMO that. Don't go chasing everybody else's dreams. Just trade the chart. One more you were looking at, ASML. That one was quite the sell-off this morning, and I love trading dead cats, man.
Me too. I love undercutting rallies of lows, and it undercut the September low and moved back above. Now it's back below, but we will see. This is a name, and I'm not like a technology expert, but my understanding is you need their product to make AI work.
Right.
I mean, it's a weird one though. Whenever they come out and say we're going to limit chip delivery, these guys take a hit. I wish they would split the stock, but yeah, it is what it is.
Would be nice, and it's probably got a bit of a dividend yield following. It's pretty decent dividend. Well, could be better, I guess. Um, Options chain probably going to be a little overpriced on this thing. Would I wheel it if I had the capital? Maybe. Maybe with credit spreads instead. Kind of limit it. You can take options and fraction them down to whatever you want for risk. I mean, that's an easy one to do. So you can still wheel stuff like this, but it turns from a big number. If you got the capital to wheel that with direct options, cool. If not, that's what synthetics are for. You can run synthetic positions and wheel this thing too.
Yeah, and I usually just buy debit spreads on it, where
Yeah,
my risk reward's halfway decent.
exactly. And that's my go-to when I'm trading a number this big or something with a lot of range, like something like Tesla or Amazon. Debit spreads are just clutch for that. And if you don't want to risk $1 million, that's the way to be. Looking at this one, I kind of like the dead cat theory on this thing, and the halfback is pretty much right into a liquidity zone, which actually I should mark with orange. I like to make those stand out. So the return price on this thing, if it gives us the old dead cat bounce, we're looking for about 765 and a half or so. And let's play that out on the 2 hour. That's one big ass bar. We already seen some green, and we like the half, whole, and quarter rule, so we always want to split that. So current short-term target about 748 is about the middle of the road here, and 2 hour liquidity certainly got found right there in that wick. So you can definitely, if you wanted to draw a liquidity zone there, you can. I'm gonna leave it. This is the zone I'm looking to trade to. But yeah, dead cat bounces are awesome. Especially with penny stocks. Like I've found that if I have a day where I'm doing a live stream and I get requests sometimes, hey, do you have a penny stock you want to watch? Because they're easy to learn price action with. If I don't see anything that really catches my eye for a good premium setup on penny stocks, I'll just go look at the biggest losers in the pre-market. And sometimes you just look at the biggest losers during a day, which is the case in this one. But you look for the biggest losers, you find the massive bar. You look way left, find all your pivot points and liquidity points, and typically, almost without fail, you'll get a dead cat bounce to come back to one of those zones. This is absolutely textbook of exactly what that looks like. Here we are on the 15-minute chart. We can see it played with the pivots nicely, came back, tested them, and in this case, we got a couple dojis right to the liquidity zone, even an extension back in it. Those plays are just, I almost want to say they're just too easy. The dead cat bounce is often the easiest thing to trade. I also will look at the options chain on something like this. If I see an opportunity where I can scalp the equity on the bullish bounces on a dead cat and then go and start adding some put debit spreads if it rejects. I can day trade to put debit spreads with minimal risk, close them right around where we're at now, and then flip it. Go into call debit spreads and look for a return to the liquidity zone target, and maybe even the halfback of the entire range is possible too. So those plays are awesome to watch and awesome to trade and awesome to learn from. So don't rule out a dead cat. When you find that the market's not giving you any pennies to trade, look for dead cats. They're awesome. Um, I'll give a quick couple of things I'm looking at. I'm still following my TNA wheel trade, which has been killing it. I'm at a little bit of an assignment risk on my $47 covered call position that's open currently. I'm okay with that because my cost base is like so stinking low. It's not even funny. It's like my since March cost basis is under $14. I think it's like 1380 something. I'll have to look at my journal. Phenomenal. My short-term cost basis on this particular position is like $32 a share. So if I get assigned at 47, I'm not going to cry about it. No one's going to listen. I'll just sell them another put and take another entry. But TNA has been like my my poster child of what a wheel trade should look like, and it just keeps on paying the bills. I know other people who wheel traded this thing far longer than I have for like years and years, and it just pays off. So eventually, when a few of those single equity ETFs get a nice balance on that options chain and start providing weeklies, dude, we are all over it. And I'm not the only wheel trader looking at that stuff. So keep an eye on the many products over here with Total Capital and T-Rex Fund. They're going to go places with those leveraged options, man. And TNA
Oh
is a
yeah.
poster child for how to do it. So get in there, guys. It's gonna happen. We're gonna really kill that. Um, Another one I was looking at, and this one's kind of a, I guess I could call it the underdog trade. I love an underdog trade, and SoFi is a prime example of exactly that. We talked about this last week. We both liked it on Tuesday, and it followed through friggin' beautifully. Um, we've
I actually bought puts on it this morning.
But we can see that it's kind of in that resistance area. It's above a 1.5
I'm
moving
I'm
move,
I'm up almost 8% on them. We'll see.
and you're either looking at day trade or overnight those, I'm sure.
Yeah, but not long. I mean, this system will get out if the Connors RSI goes under 30,
Oh yeah.
and it'll get stopped out if I have a 3% loss.
If we
So
look at this
not
entire,
not, not a long-term hold.
no, if we look at this entire, market structure thing, it's doing its thing with market structure. This is like the cup and handle section of it. It's a little choppy because it split the range here. It made a very shallow. If you count this whole thing as a big rounding bottom here, this is about where we'd expect the handle to be. So it is prudent to day trade and maybe even swing trade a few puts in this area and ride it back down to the key liquidity zone here. Maybe shoot for like a $9 to $9.50 target range short term, and then long term, I'm still long term bullish on this one. Just because we're looking at day trading and swing trading puts does not mean that we can't find market structure to the T back into 1180s and even the $13-14 range on this particular equity. So um, this is where that structure's kind of headed. And I've known members in the Bullishbrs who paid $23 a share for this thing, and eventually they picked up on selling options on this thing, and learned probably right around this point, right around the middle of 2022, I think is when some of those members came through and were asking for help with their SoFi positions because they followed the hype, bought the hype, and got sold a bag of it. So, um, long story short, from what I understand, most of them have been able to reduce their cost basis on their ill-timed entry and to a point where they're still reasonably long-term invested in the company and probably at about the break-even point by about now, I would assume, if they stuck with it. And this is that point where we're starting to see some volatility take over in this thing, and I'm looking for accumulation in this range. And long term, I think it'll hit that reversion target. I think we could see the 13s in there pretty quick. So pay attention to this thing. It's an underdog, and I think as more and more regional banks are having trouble and the big banks start to have some short-term liquidity issues, these guys, SoFi and like SQ and a few others are going to kind of fill that niche for fulfilling the needs of the consumers who need these things to work. So that, and well, there was a couple others that were in that sector. Disruptors. There was a lending company. I'm trying to remember the name of it.
Lending trade.
Lending Tree is one of them. There's another one that was. It's on my list. Bear with me a moment. I'll find it. It's one I haven't thought of, and I think I should look at it. It's just popping into my head right now. You get to see my brain cells working live. Oh, where'd that thing go? It was a total disruptor, and it was like set up to eventually make some bigger moves. Dang it, where the heck did that thing go? I haven't traded it in forever. It was one of the disruptors in the financial sector. Gosh dang it. Oh, it'll come to me. It's in one of my lists. Oh, a firm. That's one of them too. There was another one that Kathy Woods got into and gave it the kiss of death, and then we shorted it. But after she sold her shares, it started trending, and I think Affirm's one of them too. But kind of the same sector. Here we have market structure doing exactly what it does. This is that final swing where we start to see a possibility of a trend back to some reversion trades. And you know, you mark that pivot at about 79, 80 bucks. It's pretty obvious. If we break this range here at about 45, 50 bucks, we could see this thing swing into a trend and give back pretty much every bit of half of that previous market structure hype wave, I like to call it, where the hopes and dreams chase it to the top and then it gets sold. This is that point where this is starting to look somewhat bullish, and this accumulation here looks familiar. We've seen this a million times. Look at the primary behind this thing. It's breaking out. Keep an eye on this bad boy. It's got some places to go. AFRM, and there's another one I'm missing. It's not coming to my brain. It's in my list somewhere. I've got many lists of things I've scalped over the years. And it just goes on and on. But this is one I'd keep an eye on. Recent price action, we could probably say give half back, maybe find support around 46, 47 bucks, and give us a bounce back above 50. Look for it. Should we review some of the killers we've had over the past few weeks? We've done some good ones. I'm going to start with my underdog in the nuclear sector, that light bridge. That was beautiful, man.
What's the symbol again?
That one's LTBR. It's a penny stock, but it's a great mover. Right. So recent moves we've seen on a daily chart. We've been watching this for a couple weeks now. We had that breakout move. It broke right above that that reversion liquidity zone, which was kind of a zone in the middle of high to low. Just slammed through that on a daily yesterday and absolutely ripped the face off. Well, it gave half that back and then some, and then tapped our liquidity zone again for support and bounced like a ball off that sucker this morning. Now we're getting the half back of that bar and watching it consolidate, going, hey man, long term this thing could be pretty damn bullish and hit the 420 mark again. That's where that key pivot is on this close here. So we could see this thing trend on up, but look for this volatility in the meantime. We've got these big impulse moves, half back. It's repeating. It's got one more left before it breaks that 380 target, and then if we resume trend from there, 420 is the outcome on that thing. Current liquidity zone, we're going to shift that over to here. We're going to watch this bar here for LZ, and let's see if we can melt through that, give us an A to B play, and then maybe an outlier of breaking into a trend. This one's a fun stock to trade. It's dirt cheap. Even if you're just practicing with a few shares in a small account to get the idea how to trade price action, this one's going to teach you a lot in really short time. It trades really nice. I remember back in the day, my friends and I were trading this, back in the day where all we could trade really was penny stocks, and this thing was killer back then, and it's kind of making a comeback for day traders, so we're on it. Another one that's kind of an okay mention here is ILMN, and that one is, I think that was one that I kind of picked off a while back, and then I don't remember if you made a trade on this one or not.
No, I did not.
This was kind of an underdog play. It made a nice primary. The secondary, it kind of rejected before the full 1-for-1 measured move here, so maybe it would be prudent to short this back down to like 145 or so, and then maybe see if we can bounce here and get back into our trend. But so far, pretty good play, pretty easy trade. Again, it's a market structure thing, so this is the second squeeze consolidation, and we may very well reject it like 152, 151, somewhere in there. But if it breaks out of that, 162 is an easy target. That's just a reversion target for this whole thing. So easy trades on this one. As far as the 2-hour setup goes, again, pretty easy. Primary, secondary, rejection, come back to mean. Let's test it and go. SQ was the other disruptor we were looking at. And again, that was just right to liquidity zone, followed through. I'll pat myself on the back. I still have that outlying analyst target way up here at 89 bucks. That is possible, but it's going to take a long time, guys. Don't hold your breath with this one, but in the meantime, the short-term trades have been methodical on this thing. It's been pretty easy to trade. A to B in our zone, rejection clean. We're looking for pullback to about 69.50, maybe even extend a little more than that down to 68.50, and then we'll see some accumulation probably and maybe some follow through. So keep eyes on this thing. Another disruptor in its sector. You had one on Tuesday that was a little odd, but it started to kind of play out. ASPI, I think it was.
Oh yeah, how's that going?
It
All right. I mean, not. It's a uranium play, but it's a penny uranium play.
it made the reversion, but then I noticed it printed our 3-bar structure, where we get a bar, a doji, and a bar back to the base. So this is where I'd expect support to be, and if we see accumulation, we could still follow through with that measured move target up here to like $3.60, and maybe even a full reversion of market structure back to like 375 or so. But overall, I think we were saying keep an eye on it, scalp some of this liquidity in the meantime, but look for support around the midpoint between these two measured move blocks here. And if we see it find, that it holds around 280 and gives us a good reverse play, we get some good scalps in between. So, scalp it. It's definitely a good day trader and a good swing trader, but not quite investment grade yet. Let it do its market structure thing first. And remember to look
Yep.
further left. It's done the primary stuff pretty well. This is again going to be the secondary kind of maneuver. They tend to draw out a little more sideways for a while before they give you that breakout. But if you watch the news, if some big company, and I'm not saying Google's going to go buy this thing, but you get some big company that kind of comes into this thing and puts a little future money into it, that's where these things get volatile, and that's what causes this type of stuff. So definitely keep an eye on this thing. Let's see here. Did we talk about SMR? I think we'll brief that real quick, and then I want to go into a couple of the other outliers.
SMR is the nuclear play that has the best symbol by far.
Yeah, that thing is just, methodical. 2-for-1 measured move. I was jumping up and down and proud of myself, and I wore my elbow out when I said, damn if it didn't nail my price target to the penny. How often do you see any analyst do that? That's pretty cool. It of course rejected with a nice strong wick right after. It gave half back, and now we're accumulated to try it again. So watch for this thing to break out above the mean. So looking for a break above like 1390. And if it gathers strength and breaks the opening high here at about 1420, we could see it push through that 1440 and maybe give us a twofer, or beyond a twofer into a threefer, and start heading for the 86.6 fib of the previous high, which would be, let me go out on a limb and eyeball it at about 1635. Let's call that about approximately 86.6 fib. If I hit that to the penny, I'm just gonna dance. I'll do a dance on camera here for everybody. That'll be fun. Pretty rare that you can kind of get into that. And Talon. What's the ticker on that one? There was somebody from Quasar Markets was asking about Talon. If I can find the ticker on that one, I'll happily look at it.
Talon, no.
I'll see if I can find the
Talon
ticker.
Metals?
I don't know.
Talon Energy, maybe? TLN?
Oh, yeah, that is okay.
I like the undercut and rally at the 50-day. What does it do?
Hey, that tapped a reversion too. Look at that. Bing. But let's start drawing. Love me some drawing. Close enough.
Power infrastructure. There we go.
All right, we met that. Half back is done right now. We're closing a red daily bar. We're looking for reversion. We could see a reversal here if we get the old IHS happening here. There's shoulder, head, shoulder, neckline's going to be right in that 168 area. Yeah, it could end up with a little bullish trend out of this. 168 is going to be the critical resistance point, and it's pretty obvious right there with that opening high right there, 168, 169. Keep an eye on this thing for consolidation, maybe through today, tomorrow, and the next day. If it breaks this guy here, we could finish that move back to the high here. That's a pretty easy shot. Undercut and rally looks good. Long-term trend weekly is parabolic, so it owed this pullback. There's your reversion overall here. Make that white. Yeah, keep an eye on this thing. We could see some consolidation and basically a bump and go, or bump and run, they like to call it. I like you. Thanks for the call out on that one. I'm gonna add that to the list. Bam, it's on there. All right. All right. Should we check out the elephant MSTR? That thing has just been on a tear.
It's all over the place. Down right now. But, yeah, I mean, I like it if the 10-day holds.
I think
As for this whole run up.
Howard Greenberg and I were talking about that last week. I think I remember him calling out that 227. I think I called 217 and thought, well, if it blasts through 217, yeah, it could hit 227, but I'd almost expect a pullback to 217 afterwards. Well, it broke that, but we still kind of held the half back of the secondary move here, so we could see. Let me mark that just as a reversion target. We could see it back to like 205 and a half here, back to the middle of this range after that tap. It's likely. Let me go to the 15-minute chart. So we've got some good swings on this yet, but watch for this key support area right around 189.50. If it does break over here one more time and smoke that low, we could see this thing go even lower and maybe tack down here to 170 or so. There's also a liquidity zone here right around 180. So that play that we called out for the bullish run here, that's pretty much said and done. Let this consolidate for a while before you jump back in it. But day traders are all over this. We could scalp this pretty easy. 5-minute chart, that looks like the old pop and drop bear flag. There's a liquidity grab. Smoke this mean if it breaks like 196.50 in the next few minutes here, it could easily just bear flag and run a full measured move down and hit that 175 to 180 liquidity or support area. Very possible. So that puts MSTU in an opportunity zone. If you are looking to wield that, that might be where you'd be watching for selling some puts. I like MSTU, dude. That thing's a beast.
That thing is a beast. We have more inflows in today so far, too.
They're buying that liquidity. They know where that support is. It's right.
I mean, we're getting inflows in the short also, MSTZ.
I almost wonder, because I like the idea. I mean, I know it's eventually, you get the fees eat them up a little bit. They're the long-term zero-sum game and those. But since they're directly tied to a single equity, you're still going to have opportunity to generate way more income than you're going to see in loss on that. So I think maybe some of the seasoned wheel traders out there are realizing that, hey, I can wheel both the long and the short leveraged ETF and just concentrate on making income on the options altogether as a whole with a net neutral long position that slowly fades with the management fees. Kind of a no-brainer. Selling premium on stuff like that, if you're net neutral, yeah, you make money no matter what it does. So you could, on your end, you could definitely see inflows into both, even though it's actually looking for a bullish bounce for a reversion trade right now to $57. I mean, that makes sense to me. I think some of the options traders are starting to catch on. So hopefully we had some influence in that, I like to think.
Yeah, I would think so.
But guys, study that wheel trade strategy, man. It's a no-brainer when it comes to making money, and that's exactly the kind of play that I got my eyes on. So, yeah, I like it. A couple others to go through. Did we talk about Mara yet?
No.
I think Howard and I were talking about it last week, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know where my dope went. I swear I had a liquidity zone here, but it was right in there at about the 17,
Well,
$18
so it's
time.
interesting here.
It
It
does.
hasn't run up like all the other stuff.
And it's in that range where we're looking at the, even though we've seen market structure in this thing several times already, it's in that range where we could start breaking out above that $18 mark. And if we do, we've got a pretty good shot at hitting the 20. This thing's pretty much a easy chart to trade in spite of its choppiness for most people. That key zone here held that second time around. I think we've talked about this for a few months on end now, just off and on. But this zone makes sense where we bounced out. We got a full 2-for-1 measured move extension on this thing. Rejected the 86.6 fib once, twice, and a third time today. We may revisit this thing one more time and start pushing through that 18. So short term, watch that as your key resistance area. And it's pretty obvious we could just stripe our liquidity right across here. And call that your key zone to watch. In the meantime, we can trade range on it, but definitely watch for this to eventually break out of this and start shooting for the 20s. But I know there's a lot of people who trade this thing and are attracted to the name based on all the hype and social chatter on this thing. So it is going to be one that is going to be watched very regularly. I know the guys over at ChatterQuant are always all over these names. So anytime there's price targets and there's lots of talk about it, follow through is usually pretty imminent to those price targets. It just kind of manifests its own destiny, so to speak. And traders tend to follow it. So we know where the range is. We know where the key targets are. It just becomes an easy trade at that point. So made a reversion of today's move, rejected. We'll look for consolidation. Either it'll break out to the bull side on the end of the day or the bear side on the end of the day. In the meantime, I mean, pattern-wise, people see this as the old Batman's cape and cowl type of move here. You got the ears here and the top of the head here. Those tend to go and try to test support down here. So if this thing fades that reversion here, look for it to extend right down to 1650 pretty easily. So just be a little nimble on this thing if you're going to scalp it. But overall, it met our target. It went right to our liquidity zone and rejected cleanly. So definitely watch that thing. We got a couple others we got time for, I think. Oracle. We both loved that one last week, and it went full on 2.5. And I think we could see this thing consolidate and run higher. It is just one of those companies that I don't even know how they're pulling this off, but Oracle has had some controversy. I mean, the management's done a couple of interesting moves, not to get sued, but
Yeah.
But now we're starting to see things start to catch on, and it's follow through. I mean, it broke out of this triangle with the quickness, and then just started making measured move after measured move. And we've broken it down into two keys. And dude, this thing is just pushing on. I still have my old analyst target up here at like 196.88 for some damn reason, and it's following through. Where did I get that from? That's this entire primary on the weekly here, and this cup and handle just rounded out, handled, and pulled off beautifully. Recently, we've been trading all these moves in this thing. Hit the key liquidity zone, and now it's consolidating. It's either going to rip to this target or reject here and give half back. So, be a little nimble at this point. It's followed through to everything so far, but this is the point where we're going to start seeing this thing kind of get a little weird and start to maybe get some profit taken out of it. So let's look for short-term pullbacks if we breach this liquidity zone. We're looking for like 170 as a key support area, and maybe even reach down to 167 as possible in the short term. So let this work out before we get too interested in investing in this thing long term. But for day traders and swing traders, it's going to be pretty fun. I think people probably you probably saw some options flow into puts on this thing today, this morning, and we're looking for a little profit taking here, but if it breaches this zone, those put swingers are going to be looking for another low down here. Somewhere between like the 168 and 165 range would be appropriate. So the bears are all over this thing. Be careful. I think that about wraps things up, except for Roku.
Yeah.
That's time to look at Roku. Interesting trades on this thing, but it's starting to look a little top heavy in spite of this cup and handle, and we expected this handle here. We knew this was here. This liquidity zone was imminent. It reached a little bit below it yesterday and today, and then sort of bounced. Now we're looking for an A to return to half B move, which it did. Can we break the middle of this range and start to become bulls again? Well, let's put key resistance right here at about 77. I wanted 77.80. There we go. Got it. Key resistance
79.65 is the high.
For the day. Oh, yeah.
No, of this move.
Gotcha. Let me go into the daily chart again. 79.65 is what he's talking about here. And that wasn't quite the half measured move, but we do have a little bit of a pullback happening here. We knew where that handle would be. The breakout target would be first about $80.60 for a halfer. And if we get a full-on move out of this thing, remember this whole thing counts as a primary, and we broke it into two secondaries. The ultimate target on this thing, if it breaches this zone and maintains bullishness above that range, we're looking for 84.50 and 86 on the outcome in this thing. Let me be so bold as to say 86 should be my analyst target on that one for the long term. But let this pattern shake out first, and we've got to see if it holds this key resistance area right in the middle of our liquidity zone. So, odd to say, we have no idea how they're still in business. They primarily, I think they kind of operate like sort of like Tesla. They're not making killer margin on the product. It's a physical product. You have to buy a unit, and then you pay for services on it. I mean, and upgrades. So it's sort of like selling a Tesla. They don't care about the margin so much on the vehicle itself. They like all the little peripheral income from selling services on the thing. Kind of an interesting business model, but it works. Damn it! So maybe Roku makes a comeback. Who knows? Maybe I doubt they become the new Netflix, but they've got a piece of the market share, and that's what counts. So we'll see what happens in it. I'm watching it, and I enjoyed trading bearish for a long time on that massive freaking double top I keep talking about way back in the day. Biggest M top in history. Now it's just doing the market structure thing. So I could change my mind and maybe get long and start to look for long-term income on this thing. And it's certainly got a lot of range. And it's a successful enough company to where, look left. Do you see any reverse splits on this thing really ever? I'm looking and looking and looking, and I'm not seeing any. So that usually means the company knows what they're doing. Watch this range. If it gives the market structure signal to start breaking out above these resistance levels, and I got a bunch of them. This is our key target short term, $86. We breach that. Market structure does its thing, and we just trend on in this thing. Who knows? It could be a communications giant. We'll just wait and see. But in the meantime, lots of trading in it. It's a great one to trade. So trade it until it becomes investable, or invest in it and sell premium. Either way, you're a winner. I think that about wraps it. Unless you got anything to add.
No, nothing on my end.
Let me check back on QQQ before we go and roll through. Damn, if that doesn't look like a bear flag. Can we see more selling in the market today? We got
I
some.
mean, it's Nvidia, it's the chips.
Well, could see some opportunity. Where's Nvidia?
Nvidia's down pretty big.
Right back to my previous sales
NVDX
target.
is down over 10%, so Nvidia's down about 5.
That old 130 mark, man, that thing holds. We hit the half measured move yesterday. Went right to that liquidity zone, 139.60. About point A. We were
We've
looking at.
actually been getting a lot of assets into the inverse Nvidia, MBDQ.
I almost wonder if people are using that as a hedge for the long.
I mean, they should be. I mean, if you're like, anywhere, financial advisor or yourself, and you've got a big position with capital gains and don't want to sell and aren't comfortable with options.
It's a good way to hedge, and then, worst case
Yeah.
scenario, you write it off and lost harvest it. I like that idea. I hate paying so much taxes, but the fact that I'm paying taxes says I'm making money, so live with it.
Yeah.
I would say we're kind of in a key area on this thing. If it holds this 130, which is now a pivot, this was one of my targets a while back, and damn if I didn't break my elbow, pat myself on the back when I hit it. But we went for a 1.5. We hit the liquidity zone and rejected. We've given the half back, which is about in this range. We wicked a little below it this morning and held pretty true. 127.90 is a key support. If it breaks that, sure, we can be bears and we can start heading for this liquidity zone down here. But keep an eye on this thing. If it holds here, this is going to be a good opportunity for a pullback grab and go long. But yeah, chips are getting beat up today.
Yep.
We'll live with it. That's the market, guys. It gives, it takes, it ebbs, it flows, and we just scalp the chart until we find something we can hang on to for a while, like TNA for me. So anyway, guys, I think that's about it. Unless we got anything else on the YouTube for comments. Thanks for Quasar Market. You guys have been participating. I like that Talon call out, and yeah, I agree with you. MSTU is huge, and it can be even more huge. So again, thanks for joining us. Like, subscribe, and tell your friends. Dude, we're here to help, and you can't beat our accuracy. We're damn good at calling out these targets, and together we make a great team, and we're both in the same place. Our hearts are here to help you guys. That's what makes us feel
Yep.
good about ourselves anyway. And dang, if we don't like that too, that warms our hearts, makes us feel good, and in turn, we love to do it even more at that point. So help us grow. We'll help everyone we can to be able to be fruitful at their trading as well as their income strategies. And we teach on top of all of it. So, man after my own heart, we teamed up and we just went to town. So here we are. Thanks again, guys. We'll see you next week. Actually, we're going to see you Thursday. I keep forgetting it's only Tuesday. Gosh, this week's flying by already.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're going to be here again on Thursday, and I think by then we should shake out some of this chip volatility and start finding some opportunities to go long on. And
We will see. We
Thursday,
always do.
I think Thursday we should see some. If not, there might be another sector rotation. I'm kind of keeping an eye on a few of those little interrupters in the financial sector. Maybe we see the banks start to take some heat, and then we can start seeing some of those guys rotate. So definitely keep an eye on that too. It's not necessarily a back burner item. That's don't take your eyes off of it. Let that pot boil while you watch it, and then trade it. We'll see you then. Thanks again, guys.